Hi, everyone, and welcome to Accelerate Success by providing a seamless customer experience. This automotive news webinar is brought to you by CarNow. We're delighted you're with us for this presentation. I'm Emma Hancock, host, strategist, and moderator at Automotive News. Before I introduce our speaker today, a navigation tip. We encourage you to ask questions at any time. Just type them into the Q&A box on the left side of the webinar window and then hit send. I will steer your questions to our speaker toward the end of the session. Today's speaker is Bob Lanham, SVP of OEM Relations at CarNow. Bob brings over 20 years of technology leadership and marketing experience to the role, having worked at top brands such as Microsoft, Yahoo, and Meta, where he was head of automotive retail. And now I'll turn it over to Bob to get us started.
Yeah, Emma, appreciate the nice introduction. Want to thank everyone who took time out of their day to join us, as well as the rest of the Automotive News crew for having me. You know, before I begin, I just want to say thank you. You know, I know this takes time out of your day. If you're in the shop or you're in the store, you've broken away from possibly a sale to spend some time with us. So I just wanted to start off to say thank you. I also want to say thank you to all my friends in the industry who's been texting me for the past hour or so, wishing me good luck. So appreciate you all joining here. So why is it important that we provide a seamless customer experience? Well, for those of you that know Brett Sutherland from the Sutherland Automotive Group, he made a poll a few months ago that I thought the results were fantastic. And you can see he simply asked the question, what's the best way to differentiate yourself from the competition? And the first result he puts up there is price, right? Followed by better customer experience, the products and services and other. And you can see clearly what everyone voted, which was simply to provide a better customer service. And guys, there's a ton of research out there that tells us how buyers feel about our customer service or the purchase experience at your store or other stores. Cox Automotive just came out with their latest buyer's journey study that 61% of people were highly satisfied in 2022. Unfortunately, which is down from the previous year. And, you know, McKinsey and Company, I think this is a little aggressive on their end, but they have claimed that 99% of car buyers are dissatisfied with the traditional buying experience. And in fact, this study has tens of thousands of people surveyed. So regardless of what the actual number is, I think we all agree that we could do better, that we have an opportunity to provide a more seamless, a more transparent, or just better buying experience. I want to give a good shout out to my good friend David Kane from Kane Automotive. You know, a number of years ago, David and I would travel around the country and we were presenting to dealers for a specific brand. And I stole this slide from him and I thought it was perfect because the Gallup poll has been measuring honest and ethics in professions for years. I mean, I honestly want to say 100-year plus. And when I would ask, or if I was in the room with you all and I would ask the audience, all right, where do you think we all fit? Where do you think as car salespeople fit in this experience? And unfortunately, guys, we're still ranked at the bottom. And I would always say to the audience, look, I know we are not running unethical or dishonest businesses, but what does this survey tell us year in and year out? We have a perception problem, and we need to accelerate our purchase experience so we can start to get away from this perception. But why is this the case? Like, why have we not provided a better customer experience per customers? Well, first, Bob Warner, a good friend of mine of Warner Mazda up in New Hampshire, I was interviewing him a few months back. And if you want to see the interview, you can see the link on the bottom of the slide. And we were simply talking about the buying experience or the purchase experience. And he said, guys, to be honest with you, here's the deal. We as dealers, we as the industry, we just don't sell the way the customer wants to buy. Right? There's a process that we have in retail that we've had for decades that we're just challenged from moving from. And I wanted to dig deeper into it. And why is this? Well, if you look at a study back in 2019 from Roadster prior to CDK, purchasing them, they came out with results that simply said car buyers prioritize experience over price. In fact, 55% of car buyers preferred the experience of buying a car versus what the price of the car was. And as Emma said, I spent the last 7.5 years at Meta, and I had the privilege of working on this study. And we had found that 80% said that if they had a good purchase experience with an auto brand, they were more likely to stay loyal to that auto brand. And we also knew that the majority of people understood by staying loyal, they were going to miss out on promotions or other deals and incentives. We fast forward to 2022, and S&P Global just recently came out with 56% of consumers are willing to wait a month for the vehicle that they want to arrive. And I'll jump to that last bullet point. 70% of US consumers are willing to select a dealership that is further away because the retailer allowed them more opportunity to purchase online. I think this is really compelling data that we really start to have to focus on. So what are we not understanding? Like, why are we still selling in a way that we used to sell maybe decades ago and not transforming our buying process to how people want to buy? I think first and foremost, we're not looking at the data properly. We have to really start to dive into generational data. And I think we all would agree that generations below us, depending on what generation you are, have grown up differently than we have, with different devices and different buying expectations. And frankly, the younger the buyer, the higher the online experience expectation they have. Look, 5 years ago, I used to say, look at Amazon. With one click in 2 days, your product arrives on your doorstep. But where is Amazon today for a good chunk of their product? One click, hours away, and their product is on the doorstep. This is a behavior that consumers are just expecting all of us to have. Well, I was looking at J.D. Power data the other day, and in fact, I bet most people don't know this, but the majority of car buyers, the generation that buys the most vehicles right now, are millennials. Just think about that. In fact, I read that 17 out of 27 auto segments, millennials were the largest car buyers. If we look at the total population as a whole, you look at millennials, and we all know we all know what the oldest millennial is these days. I believe it's around 44 years old is the oldest millennial. Does anybody want to guess what the oldest Gen Z is right now? About 24, right? So there's a number of years of car buying within that Gen Z. So I think we have to do a better job at accommodating to this. And look, Gen Z, and I got to give them a lot of credit. They are a very, very, very different generation with very, very high expectations. In fact, if they even have a poor experience, they are least likely to recommend you to any of their friends or family. They're just very bold. They're very disruptive. They care about who they're buying from, and they will research what role you play in the community prior to even considering you in terms of doing business with you. So I know we might be focused on the today, but we really truly have to start focusing on who our consumer is today, but who our consumer is going to be. And it truly is your younger generations. Now, like many of us, we constantly hear, listen, Bob, people do not want to buy cars online. I'm sorry, the numbers just aren't there. The data isn't there. They don't want to buy cars online. And I was going through an amazing J.D. Power deck the other day, and this was the subject, or this was the title of the slide. And it says, most dealers have a modern retailing tool, but some need to see the data before they utilize the modern retailing tool as more than a lead form. And I'll tell you, when I read that title, I thought to myself, and I even chuckled a little bit, because I said, I don't even know how we're going to get these dealers that data. So hear me out on this, and I'll be honest, this is the first time I'm presenting this mindset. But here's one of the challenges that we face in the industry with modern digital retailing tools, right? all of our modern digital retailing tools, regardless of the provider for the most part, is customizable to how the dealer wants to set up the tool. So when we look at how the consumer flows within the tool, we simply are going to capture the data on how the tool is set up. So what do I mean by that? So picture this as a 5-step digital retailing tool. What would happen for the most part, and almost every dealer does this, but what happens when we put the lead form, also known as the lead gate, right up front? So before they can do anything, they have to give us their name, number, email address, and any other information that we ask for. What usually happens? I think we all know a very large percent or a good percent is going to drop, right? Could you imagine during the meet and greet, right, in store when a physical up came up and I said, hi, my name is Bob Lanham with Toyota Sarasota. Can I have your name, number, email address before we get this process started? What do you think the majority of people would do? Yeah, they would turn around and walk out and go to the dealership that is 8 miles up the road. This is the exact same mindset we have to have when we put lead gates right up front. But what would happen if we move the lead gate towards the end? Or we just got rid of it completely? Could we see our results grow? In fact, I've had a number of people tell me that they've experimented with removing the lead gate completely and letting people go through the entire digital retailing experience before they have to submit their PII or their personal data. And let me just tell you what they've telling us that happens. They 100% get less leads. So if you're going to measure digital retailing tool on lead counts or lead inputs into your CRM, that's probably not the way to go. But I'll tell you what the flip side was. They sold more cars. They had a higher conversion rate on those people who did complete the tool and did eventually supply their information. But then there's all this data, whether it's Cox Automotive or McKinsey, it doesn't matter. We always hear that people, they still want to come in and kick the tires, right? That's what we hear. They want to kick the tires, which I think we all would agree they should kick the tires. But it's what do they do after they kick the tires that I think is different among some buying experience than others. And listen, like I said, I keep hearing people don't want to buy cars online because of the data that I just showed you. And while I know this is a small number in comparative, people are buying cars 100% online. In fact, I have never gone through the purchase cycle of buying a Tesla, but a very good friend of mine just recently completed it. And he was telling me that after he set his appointment, went and test drove the vehicle, he's like, okay, I want to buy it. This is exactly what I want to buy. And does anybody know what Tesla does right after that? They send you home. They say, great, go on your mobile phone, go home on your laptop, your desktop, and buy it. And we'll have it ready for you in a few months. And I did go through the process of looking at a Polestar locally near me. I had never driven one. I wanted to try it. Again, 51,000 people did buy a vehicle completely online. And I was shocked. That's exactly what happened. I finished test driving. I was like, this is a really neat car. I'm really interested in this. Can we chat about it? He said, no, just go online, go on your phone and finish the buying process online. And I just thought it was really interesting. And look, you don't have to take it from the completely online direct to consumer manufacturers. For those of you that read automotive news religiously, you know that Lindsay came out with an article in the third quarter of last year that talked about how the publicly traded dealer groups are really putting a large effort into their online buying tool. And you can see what Driveway's numbers were from Lithia. You can see Asbury's numbers. And I thought there are two really interesting statistics. And that first one from Asbury and Lithia through Driveway has a very similar one, which is 90% of their customers were new to their dealer group for those that bought online. So they're expanding their opportunity or their network to reach potential customers simply by offering a completely online solution. Group one automotives, you can see what percent of retail sales it was for them. Penske was mentioned in the article, as well as the other couple publicly traded dealer group. So I guess we all can continue to debate if people want to completely buy a car online. But I would also say in debate, I think we've proven that when given the opportunity, and that's the key part, when given the opportunity, people will buy a car completely online. So I want to just throw out something to think about that, guys, this is not my data, but I thought it was really compelling. According to McKinsey again, and if you haven't seen this study, please go look at it. It's fascinating. It surveys OEM executives, it surveys buyers, and it surveys dealers. And the data is really interesting that comes out of it. But a data point that came out said that 88% of OEM executives expect that some dealer groups will not survive the upcoming disruptions related to innovative mobility concepts, digital retail formats, and those new market entrants like I just showed you. And listen, not my data, this is from McKinsey, but it did spur a question that popped in my head. And for those of you that own a franchise store, that have to have a digital retailing platform, you know that some OEMs out there are starting to mandate in what order or where that lead gate should go. And there's a reason for that, right? They've got a lot of data, they've got a lot of research, and they want to avoid that 50% of people who are dropping off. Or they want to ensure, because their brand is on the vehicle and on the building, that it's their purchase experience, and their purchase experience is defined the way the consumer wants to buy. I just thought it was an interesting concept. And listen, I know not every OEM is, well, I know every OEM is looking at it a little bit differently, but every OEM wants to play a role in the online purchase experience. And I think we have to take note as to why. So how do we improve purchase satisfaction? So I chatted about the meet and greet earlier, and I made the joke about, I never had a script. I was never trained to handle an up by saying, hi, my name is Bob Lanham. Can I have your name, number, email address, and any other PII before I would even consider showing you any of the vehicles that I have on the lot. In fact, I knew you were going to walk up to the store and simply say that I'm just looking. And I, of course, had all of the comments to reply back to that so that I can have a proper first impression, because they say the best closers, right, are even better openers. But where is that online meet and greet these days? Where is that new physical up? Well, listen, it happens online, and it's happening on your dealership's website, or I should say it could happen on your dealership's website. And as I stated earlier, right, we've got a generation that just simply grew up with the phone in their pocket. It's the only way they know how to communicate. And I think those that accommodate to how they want to communicate will win, because that's all they know. And some more research from Meta that I was fortunate to see when I was there is that 75% of the population said that they wanted to be able to communicate with a business in the same way that we communicate with friends and family, right? And how do we do that, right? We do that with our phone. We do that through messaging. They also said they were more likely to do business with those companies that would contact them via messaging versus those that did not. And finally, there was a 30% bump in messaging or communication between consumers and businesses during the pandemic. And some of you are probably saying, okay, Bob, the pandemic was a few years ago. But here's the deal, that 30% bump has stayed, and it actually has grown since then. So we're actually above 30% from where we started. Why? It's truly how people want to communicate. In fact, there's a number of stores that we personally have worked with that say, wow, that's really interesting data. How can we take this concept of conversational commerce, right, to try to work with a potential customer that is on our website? And a good friend of mine, Carlos at LaFontaine, presented this data at the Modern Retail Conference. At the Modern Retail Conference late last year, and they replaced all of their forms, right? Where we input our PII and it goes into the abyss, right? They eliminated all their forms with a conversation, right? With either artificial intelligence or an actual human being on the other end handling that question or that conversation that the potential buyer has. And instantly they saw a percent increase. Instantly they saw an increase in conversions. It's really not hard to understand why. It's because they simply accommodated to the behavior that people want. In fact, again, while I know I'm on an automotive news webinar, kudos to Automotive News for following this and understanding this trend late 2021 or mid 2021. And while not all dealers have adopted this, this is a behavior that dealers are looking into. And should they replace their lead forms with a conversation? And I would honestly would love to tell you that you should absolutely be doing that. In fact, we've even got more recent data where within a conversation, when a consumer is shown or has the ability to jump into the dealership's digital retailing tool, almost 50% of the people do that, right? And we all know if we can get people into our digital retailing tool, we have a higher opportunity to convert those people because that is as close as possible to that online buying experience. So a conversation can drive higher adoption or usage of digital retailing. And that's ultimately the goal. But I showed this slide at the Modern Retail Conference, said, all right, listen, if you're just going to completely disagree with me and you're like, Bob, I still want leads, I still want leads, I still want leads. That's the number one focus. And that's how I measure my BDC department and anyone else in the store. Fine. If that's truly the case, then conversation is going to be one of your biggest platforms. And I'll tell you, it's interesting when you look at, regardless of what conversation platform a dealership uses, we're always tucked in the bottom right-hand corner. But yet our platform can maybe on average deliver an 88% or an 80% or a 90% conversion to a lead, a conversation conversion to a lead. You would think then pushing people into a conversation would be a larger priority. In fact, I said to the audience, how many of you are running send to message ad campaigns? Because if we know it has such a high conversion rate, shouldn't we be running send a message ad campaigns to drive that higher conversion rate? But listen, you guys know my style. For those of you that have heard me present in the past, I'm not here to sell CarNow. I'm simply going to use it as an example. But one of the greatest benefits that I feel our platform has and is a must in driving a seamless purchase experience is regardless of where the user, the potential customer starts their buying journey, it has to be connected. Okay, so if they start on your homepage or they click a CTA, right, or they start within digital retailing, regardless of where they go or where they end up, that conversation has to follow. It cannot be a disconnected experience, or we simply have a non-seamless or a disconnected experience, which is in 2023, I don't think we should have, right? I think we should easily be able to connect all of the experiences. And I'm proud to say that our platform can do that. Look, I constantly hear people are all over the place during the buyer's journey. They're here, they're there, they're back, they're in and out. And that very well may be the case. And we need to let them do that, right? It's their way of trying to figure out what and how they want to buy. But on the back end, right, and through our tools, we need to streamline it. So again, wherever they are in the process or whatever platform they're engaging with, we need to ensure all of that behavior is recorded and we know exactly where they are in the buying process or their buying journey. And this is simply a screenshot of an internal tool that a dealer would use that is ours. This originally was going to be a video and I was going to talk over it, but we realized we couldn't do that. So the left side is simply someone going through the digital retailing platform, and imagine on the left side, that screen is scrolling up and down and they're clicking buttons, et cetera, et cetera. And the right side of the screen is what we call dealer home, or the system that allows the dealership to essentially track every click and every move the user is doing on their dealership's website, whether it's through the digital retailing platform, whether it's through chat, whether they're clicking on the CTAs or what we call the Convert Now buttons. And if you look at the top right-hand corner, every time something happens, they're going to get an alert to show the dealer, hey, this might be a good time to jump in, to start a chat with this potential customer, right? And that live action feed is simply showing every activity that is happening. Guys, I used to be trained, right, to ask 1,000 profile questions on the person that showed up into our showroom floor. What do you like? Do you have kids? Are you married? All of the above. And we did that so we could get a better understanding of how we should structure the deal, what their hot buttons were, what they were passionate about. We don't need to do that anymore. Let the consumer do that through your dealership's website, and let our platform track it so we can highly educate your staff. So when they show up onto the showroom floor, you can start right where they picked off, which is where I want to start the process of showing you what a seamless, or more importantly, a transparent buying experience could, or more frankly, should look like. And Capital One came out with a study earlier this year. And I think this is really important to understand, because there truly is a difference between what we as dealers perceive to be true and maybe what the consumer is actually believing to be true. And frankly, it was about the transparency of the car buying experience. And only 21% of consumers felt it was transparent, where 68% of dealers felt it was transparent. So I think we have a little bit of gap of understanding transparency, but guys, the tools are all there to make it a transparent and seamless experience. And I think we've all heard, we've all learned, we've all seen the data that when you can make it a transparent experience and or make it seem that it is the consumer's deal, right? Price is not even in the mix. They're more focused about the buying experience, as we've learned from the data earlier. So what can a seamless and transparent experience look like? Well, we know that at least, today, I'll just say at least 70%, but I think we all would agree it's at least 90% of people that walk into your showroom have spent anywhere between 5 and 10 hours of research online. They may have been on your website. They may have been on the OEM website. They may have been on a competitor's website, and they know what they want. They've done all this work. And if they've been on your website and they've done a lot of activity, when they walk into your showroom and that same family walks into your showroom, we should be able to pick up right where they left off. I think we all would agree one of the most frustrating aspects of buying a vehicle is when we spend 10 hours and then we walk into the showroom and we have to start completely over. Those days are over if we want them to be, because we have the tools to be able to connect online to offline. So what does this visually look like? And again, guys, you know my style. I'm not here to sell CarNow. So please just know that I'm using this as an example, but feel free to ask whatever tool you're using. Are we set up this way? Do we have these capabilities? Because we believe if you set it up to be seamless and transparent, not only are you going to see higher gross, you're going to see higher CSR, and more importantly, we might see higher loyalty, which still to this day is at an all-time low at both the OEM and the dealer level. So what does it look like? The consumer is online. They're on their phone, their cell phone most likely. Hopefully we all know that it's a mobile first world. So we need to look at our websites in a mobile format versus a desktop format, but they're on their mobile phone. They're looking at a specific vehicle. They found the VIN that they were interested in. They go through the digital retailing experience. And maybe just like the direct-to-consumer OEMs do, they simply want to set an appointment. They simply want you to come in and kick the tires just like we know you want to do. And they just set the appointment. Okay, so the appointment has been set, right? They walk into the showroom. Well, once the appointment is set, our system will give you a QR code. You can still search, the dealership can still search by their last name, but they show up into the dealership. You provide your QR code or you provide your last name, and boom, to the dealer, we've checked you into the showroom. And now we can just very briefly, whether it's on a mobile device like a cell phone, or for the dealer, more preferably a tablet, they can quickly see all of the activity that you've done online. They can see by the color what you've completed, what you haven't completed, what you've partially completed, so that you as the salesperson are highly educated on exactly what they're looking to do, and more importantly, how they do it. The potential customer just penciled their own deal online, and truthfully, they're looking to you to help facilitate it. So how do you facilitate it? Well, we all have heard about digital retailing and the showroom experience. Here's what it could look like. Again, whether it's a tablet, whether you're sitting down at your desk as a sales representative and you turn a second monitor around, you have the opportunity to be fully transparent and show the potential customer, hey, I just want to review every step that you have already taken to ensure that we have all of the information we need to offer you the best deal that we can. So we're just simply going to walk through again all of the information that did. So they've done a trade already online. Well, if we need to edit the payoff in the bottom right-hand corner, there's the ability to edit the payoff. If they maybe decided to change the car they wanted to trade in, we can simply edit it and change the vehicle that they want, right? We want to get into payments, and in order to get down to a payment down to the penny, we just have to educate them that, hey, we need to do a credit pull so that we can give you the most accurate payment. What I love about being able to do this, right, is I think most people would agree we don't want to provide our information, especially a social security number, on someone else's device. Well, we have the ability to send the credit app to the consumer so they can get it on their phone while they're sitting right in front of you. They can fill out the credit app, and once they complete that step, it'll automatically update our platform. You can set the platform to show payments in a single payment, or you can show them in the 9 box. You can show them the difference between finance and leasing, however you choose to set up. Again, we're being fully transparent so that the consumer can see exactly what we're working on. Over on the right side, there was a button for rebates. We can simply review the rebates to make sure that the customer, what they have selected online, or maybe they didn't select anything online, selects the proper rebate so we can maximize their payment to the fullest, right? And maybe the customer says, man, I'm really sorry, Bob. I really want this car. I love this car. But it's just the price still isn't there from where I need it. And this is where they think the game can be changed. And I really hope over time, we as retailers change the ability to do this, where, in today's world, or the more traditional world, what would happen the second the customer says, I'm sorry, this payment doesn't work for me? What would happen is the sales representative say, well, okay, I can understand. Give me a few minutes and let me go talk to my manager. And I joked in an article earlier that I wish Fitbits were around in the early 90s, because if I had a Fitbit at the time of selling cars, I probably would have had 1 million steps a day, because we go back and forth from the tower to the desk multiple times. And sometimes, right, as a salesperson, you have to wait in line for the desking manager or the GSM or sales manager to get to you, because there might be others in line. Well, what happens the second the sales representative gets up and walks to the dowers? We instantly lose a portion of trust. Yes, right? We instantly become untransparent. We've all heard the phrase, time kills deals. Well, we just added time to the deal, and who knows how many times we're going to be back and forth. But what the systems should allow the sales representative to do is simply alert the desk and say, hey, right, they don't like the payment. They have a question on the trade-in, right? Whatever the scenario is. And the top view is that view that the customer sees, and that bottom view is the view that the desk manager sees. And you can see from the arrow, the desking manager gets a simple alert, and they can quickly click and look at the deal, the same exact deal that the sales representative and the potential buyer was reviewing. They can tell the representative, hey, I'm on my way. I'll be right there in a second, again, to avoid the time. Or they can look at the deal, right, in our desking tool and understand exactly where the dealership and the potential customer is with payment. Maybe they have the ability to adjust certain payments, right? Maybe they have the ability just to educate themselves. So when they walk to the desk, they only have to walk one time, and we can close the deal the first time, right? Versus having to go back and forth multiple times. What a great buying experience. No one is getting up. No one is leaving. No one is coming back. No one is leaving. No one is coming back. We can all do it systematically, which creates a much better experience. So let's pretend the desking manager made some changes on the tower and made the changes and then was able to send that back to the sales representative. So they made the change, an alert comes up, send that back to the sales representative. And you can see on the right-hand side, right, we have the old deal and we have the new deal. And frankly, we just have a new payment, and now we have in green any changes that the desking manager made, so that we can transparently show the customer what those changes were made, so they can see firsthand what changes were made and not have this feeling that I don't really know what changes they made. Now I don't feel good about the deal. And this was all done without anyone leaving the desk. They approve the quote. We now move on, right? We have full F&I menus through our great partnership with Darwin. I think we all have seen the data that when you're able to see what F&I offerings there are online and or in the showroom with maybe a quick video if we need to have more detail of it. We all know that when we can politely explain to the consumer how important these F&I products or protection products are, they're more likely to purchase. Again, we know in our world we need a lot of documents. So we get to the document screen. Again, we can send to the user so they can upload their driver's license, take a picture of their driver's license, all very seamless, all very quick. We can exit the showroom. The deal has been approved. It can be pushed back to the desk, and once the desk sees that it's been approved, they simply push it to the DMS, and we're all said and done. And this all can be done without anyone getting up and leaving the desk. So before I close and get to questions, which I hope you all stick around for, and I wanted to leave time to do that, I want to again personally thank all of you for taking the time out of your day to spend with us to see how we feel the purchase experience can be had, not only for the customer, but for the dealership as well, which will help change that perception that buying a car isn't pleasant. But again, whether you do business with us or not, we appreciate your time. And I wanted to get to a video from a conference that our company, along with some other leaders in the industry, hosted a couple of weeks ago. And this conference was a completely profit-free conference. 100% of the proceeds went to charity. And in this case, it went to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And the reason why I wanted to show you this, whether you do business with or not, or you choose to do business with us or not, I just wanted to show you the power of how great this industry is and what we're able to accomplish when we all band together. So I'm going to ask the team when I click the slide to roll the video.
something happens when great people get together. And I just wanted to give a shout out to every single vendor in the room, because there's no dealer list. This isn't a pitch.
You really truly spend time debating about topics, understanding what some of the best dealers are doing, some of the vendors, and you really come up with solutions. It's not a pre-packaged pitch.
It's incredible, the information coming from all the different perspectives of vendors and dealers and service people. It's just incredible to see how all the great minds can work together.
Here's the Unconference. We share strategies, best practices, and things that you can practically put into your dealership and your daily activities. No matter what part of the automotive industry you come from, the Unconference and modern day car sales will be the best place for you to have your voice heard.
I've never been around a group of people that are so caring, giving, engaged with the community, just like top of the top, best class people in the world that just come together and really make a difference.
I mean, there's guys out there that are being vulnerable, are sharing their story, are sharing their failures, are telling you kind of like where they're at today and how much they have left to grow. And I see that and it just inspires me. So, I mean, like, freaking look at this list.
And when Marketplace meets the heart of people that are willing to not be ashamed of who they are, then you unlock something that allows your organization to be better served, because you are doing it with the right intention and doing it for the right purpose. And the money's not always the right thing, but I promise you, if you do it this way, the money will come and you become recession proof.
It is amazing what people can do when no one cares who gets the credit. I want to make a difference with people that make a difference, doing something that makes a difference. Car family, you made a difference tonight.
And thank you, Make-A-Wish, for all you do for my family and families out there who really do need your help, and we appreciate it.
I want to thank you again. I'll tell you guys, every time I see that video, I still get the chills. The gentleman in the beige yellowish coat is Tim Cox, co-founder of CarNow. And I'll tell you, this is one of the greatest industries I've ever been a part of, and truly the last industry I'll ever be a part of. And we were able to raise $76,000 for Make-A-Wish off of that one conference. So thank you again for your time. I see we have a ton of questions, so I'm going to pass it over to Emma, and let's do this.
Well, thank you, Bob. What a great presentation. You're also a great presenter. You know that, right?
I appreciate it. I've had many failures to get there, so hopefully the practice has helped.
No, I mean, I actually have been taking notes because it's so interesting. Even that whole conversation about from taking leads into actual conversations, even though we're in a digital world, I find that juxtaposition really interesting. So yes, tons of questions. So we're going to turn it over to the audience right now. And I'm going to start with one that I think is really interesting about home delivery, which there's been a lot of talk the last couple of years. So the question is, to expand on the online car buying experience, should dealerships offer a home delivery service to their customers via a home delivery unit, truck, you know, the way we've seen some operators doing it, versus having a salesperson drive and deliver that car? Would that increase the customer service and provide a much better experience for the customer? Because you've been talking about, you know, making it seamless and keeping that relationship.
Listen, I know it costs money to have, a transportation organization do pickup and delivery. So you, as the dealer, will have to do the math on that. But I'll just say this, others are, right? Others are doing it. You've got franchise stores doing it. You've got independent stores doing it. You've got the online retailers offering pickup and delivery. So my personal opinion, or my personal answer, would be, I think you need to. So I would definitely research it. I also am aware that it does cost money. So maybe you have to do the comparison between having someone on staff or hiring out on how you do that.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask another question here because I think it's going to help a lot of the other questions overall from a general perspective. Can you provide examples of how dealerships have successfully integrated technology into their sales processes to create a modern car buying journey for customers?
Yeah. So Bob Werner from Werner Mazda, guys, you can just do a search on YouTube for Bob Werner Mazda, Tim Talk. It's myself and our co-founder, Tim Cox, doing an interview. And Bob Werner was one of our first clients. I believe he was number 7 or 8 back in 2014 or 15. And I'll just tell you a quick little story that he told us. You know, when the store would get a message, this is back 2015, he tied that message to a doorbell and it would ring. And the purpose of that is he wanted his sales team to answer that message the same way they would answer a phone call, right? Like we have a process for phone calls, right? Phone ups, right? He felt there should be a process for messaging. Long story short, his story goes like this. He walks into the store. Now it's commonplace for him, but he walks into the store after he implements us after a few months, excuse me, and his salespeople are running around. And he goes, guys, the door hasn't even opened yet. We're not even open yet. What are you guys doing? He's like, we're working deals from the evening before that came through the website, that came through messaging. So first and foremost, embrace it, test it, try it, but do it the right way, right? Like do it the right way. So Bob Werner, excuse me, Patrick Abad from Beaver Toyota is another one. Great Toyota store down in Atlanta, Georgia. We have a number of them, so we can send that out if need be.
Okay. And then another sort of general question about, you know, the whole platform and service that I think will help people in the audience. What advice do you have for dealerships that are just starting to explore digital retail technology? And what are the very first steps they should take to get started? Because I think that's what we're all wondering. Like, you know, how do you get started?
This is going to be very hard for some, especially if you've been in the business a long time. You might shake a little bit. If you change your mindset from lead gen to vehicle sales, and you change the process to accommodate that, this goes back to where I was talking about putting the lead gate up front or putting it last or not at all. The second you change that mindset from I need to capture a lead to all I care about is a car sale, and you set up the tools to do that, you're going to see it. You're going to see a drastic change quickly. So I know this might not be, first of all, get a tool, get a platform that enables the ability for someone to converse with you online, to purchase the vehicle online. But once you get those tools, your mindset has to be not lead gen. It has to be experience first. Let people go through the experience before they have to submit your PI, before they have to submit their PII. So that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, that's great advice. It's a complete mindset shift.
It's 100% mindset. And listen, I know dealerships pay their employees on CRM inputs. So you might have to change your pay plan a little bit to ensure that it's not about the lead more so than it is the sale.
Mm-hmm. Great advice. Another question, really, you know, what you're talking about, this blend of, you know, human and digital, and that whole thing you said about, you know, from leads to actual conversation. I think this question touches on that. How can dealerships ensure that they're using the right mix of digital and human interactions to create a personalized car buying experience for customers? And what metrics should they use to measure success? Because like you said, you know, some of the old metrics may need to change.
That's it in a nutshell, is what I just said earlier, Emma. Like, we just have to change the mindset and have put more value in the customer experience than capturing that lead. So I'm going to have to defer to my previous answer, which is once you change that mindset, I promise you, you're going to see a change.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you were also just touching on CRM. So here's another question. Is this a replacement of a CRM? If not, will this integrate to a CRM?
Yeah, we are not looking to replace CRMs by any means. That's not our goal, right? We understand that the value of a CRM. Now, CDPs might be looking to replace CRMs, or as they say, enhance CRMs, but that's exactly what we're doing is potentially enhancing the CRM. Could you use our platform with some utilizing it like a CRM for some aspects? Absolutely. But again, we're not here to try to replace CRMs.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're getting a lot of questions kind of in that realm. Here's another one for you. We use Vin Solutions for BDC and CRM and desking deals. We push to CDK DMS. We use Darwin and F&I and push to CDK. Now, if we use CarNow, can it push to Vin Solutions, CarNow, and CDK?
Yeah. First of all, I love where the questions are coming from. So kudos to my competitors for asking some of these questions. So thank you for that. So, we are working on all these capabilities. I know I used Darwin as an example. There was a button to the left of the Darwin button that said to push to DMS. We are working as we speak to connect with as many CRMs as we can, as well as the DMSs. So, that's what we're working on right now.
Okay, well, that's great. I think we have time for a couple more questions. So here's another one. Again, just talking about the DMS. You said the deal pushes to the DMS, but the screen said pushes to Darwin. Yeah. Darwin is not a DMS, so could you please clarify?
Yeah, that's from one of our competitors. So kudos to you. I won't call you out. Again, I just used that as an example. The DMS button was right next to Darwin. We have a great partnership with Darwin. So truthfully, in my head, I was thinking, let's give some showtime to our good friends at Darwin. But the DMS button is right next to the Darwin button.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to have about one more question. By the way, you also got a shout out about how awesome you are. So that's just FYI, not really a question.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Last question. Do you have any data when the form is auto-populated with the dealers and customers' first-party data?
Can you repeat that one more time? Do we have any data? I'm trying to find the question in the.
Do you have any data when the form is auto-populated with the dealers and customers' first-party data?
I don't have specific data on when forms are pre-populated versus when they weren't. I can go back to my old days at Meta. Clearly, when a form was pre-populated, it had a higher conversion rate than when somebody needed to populate it themselves. Time kills deals, right? We've heard that in the past. So, but I do not have any specific data related to the auto-population of first-party data. But Sean, since I know you well, I will follow up with you outside.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there is one really pressing question that looks like high priority here. Before we go, will you be running for president in 2024?
Yeah. I'm reviewing that right now. I've got a team behind me, and we're thinking about what our campaign strategy could be. But no, thank you. That's from my good friend and coworker who likes to have some fun. So, but thank you, Emma. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, we're at the end of our webinar. Can you believe it, Bob?
Oh, no. Can we go back in time? Let's do it again.
It was so good. I want to thank today's audience again, because they were really great questions. If you asked a question that we didn't get a chance to answer, our friends at CarNow will follow up by email. If you learned something from this session, I know I did, I made notes, please tell your peers about it. The recording will be available in about an hour. You'll find it at autonews.com/webinars. When the webinar ends, a survey will pop up on your screen. We genuinely appreciate your feedback, as it helps us create future webinars that are even more beneficial to you. Thanks again to Bob and CarNow for bringing us this presentation, and to you for joining us. On behalf of everyone at Automotive News, have a great rest of your day.